DIY 102, How to Create a Two-Sided Game Board. Lesson 1.3, Fun with Rulers and Brains. Hi again, and welcome to Step 3 of Lesson 1, where we'll be learning how to find the initial reference points of the games that you'll be creating on your board. My name is Matt Kremer, and I like techno. Whew. Oh. Okay then. Remember when I said that there wouldn't be much math in this course? Well, that's true, sorta. The math that you do need to know is super easy, but it's really the attention to detail that you need to concentrate on when you're doing the layouts. So, let's do the first thing that you'll have to do on both sides of the board, and that is to find the center point. By now, you should have gotten the board that you'll be using, and if you had it cut to the required 2 feet squared, or if you cut it yourself, or even if it came saying that it was 2 feet by 2 feet, it may not be exactly square. No matter though, because there's an easy trick of geometry to find out exactly the center of a quadrilateral like this. First, take your handy-dandy yardstick and set it across the entire diagonal from the top left to the bottom right corner. And then make sure it's lined up, and then scribe a light line in the center of the board. So here we go. Very light line. I'm making it a little bit darker, though, for clarity for the camera. Keep that in mind. In the future, I'll be doing it darker than you have to. And there you have it. Then, do the same thing from the bottom left to the top right. And scribe a light line crossing the first one. That's all for now. Depending on what you discover, you may be able to use this point as your center point for everything you'll be doing from now on, or you might need to move it a bit, but we'll get to that later. There's one more reference that you'll need to have in order to make sure that your lines are centered and parallel, and that's called a baseline. You'll need your handy-dandy yardstick again, and in fact you'll need it for the rest of this process, so make sure to keep it both handy and dandy. Use the yardstick and confirm that all the sides are straight. If you have any sides that are curving weirdly, you won't be able to use that particular side for your baseline. Now, take the corners of your straightest side and measure from the corners to the center point. If these two corners have the same exact measurement, then, or let's say within, 3/16 of an inch, you win. Those corners describe your built-in baseline. However, if your closest measurement is a 1/4 inch off or more, you can make your own baseline. Whatever the shorter measurement was, make a mark at that point on the longer measurement. So you'd make a mark here, and then scribe a line from that point to the other corner. Boom. You made your baseline. Now, measure that baseline and scribe a midpoint. You'll need to do that even if you didn't have to draw your own baseline like me. The length of the whole thing should come out to be really close to 24 inches, meaning you would put the midpoint at 12 inches. This one's just shy, so I'll put it at just shy of 12 inches. Okay, so if it's a little more or less, adjust accordingly. That's where that easy math comes in. Now, if all went according to plan, if you measure from the center point to the midpoint of your baseline, it should measure 12 inches, or at least within 1/8 of an inch anyway. If so, you've got everything lined up and you're ready to start scribing. If, however, you're getting a measurement noticeably longer than 12 inches, simply mark down exactly 12 inches from the center point, and then measure that small amount between that mark and the midpoint of the baseline. Then measure that same distance up the sides, and take that and the other side and connect those points going through the mark that you made earlier. That will give you the new baseline, and that's exactly 12 inches from the center point. Then there's the opposite scenario. If you're getting a measurement noticeably shorter than 12 inches right along this, then what you can do is simply make a mark exactly 12 inches up from the midpoint of your baseline. So you mark, let's say, up here. This will give you a new center point that's exactly 12 inches from your baseline. Don't worry, there will be enough border around the board to accommodate moving the center point around a bit. But for now, let's take a break. You've earned it. From now on, it's all scribing guidelines and making reference points for the marble holes, which, as I mentioned before, isn't that tricky, but it does need some sustained attention to detail. And there you have it. Scribing the center point and baseline should be an exercise in brain fun. Next, you'll get to learn about how to do the rest of the scribing. See you then. Brain fun? That's not a thing. Is that a thing? I don't think that's a thing.